Hey, what's going on, everyone? Just going to do a topic that has bothered me forever, and I cannot believe that I haven't done this test myself or to find some type of reasoning why players tell other players to never go over 75% on your technologies. You can go into the forums. I've seen this over a year, and players telling other players if you go over 75% on your technology, it can buff your weapons. It can cause you to get a lower score in some cases. And I've seen all kinds of crazy stuff on this topic. And I'm just wondering if we can do some type of test to see if this is true. And I always like to use the Legion boss. We'll get 5 attempts. We can do kind of a couple things with this. And so I'm going to try to figure out if this is a myth or if this is a fact. Or now, keep in mind, guys, you can do this 100 different ways. You can do this test 100 different times, get a little bit of a different result. And so these videos are always general videos for you to have your own idea of what I'm showing you, and also go out and do your own test. If you don't like the way I'm testing this, or if you think there's a better way or a better idea, again, these are to open up the path for anybody to go out, do the testing. I do read everybody's comments, and I do try to respond to every single comment, and I also watch everybody's videos that you send to me. And again, nothing's ever perfect on these. Again, take them for what they're worth. They're generalized videos, but I tell you what, I have not seen anybody yet be able to disprove any of the videos that I've ever put up. And so if you guys have a better idea, hey, do the video, send it to me. I'd love to talk about it. I'm always open for the discussion. I never want to be right about anything, more so than how can we figure out, is there a better way of doing this? Can we at least get some type of verification versus somebody spitting a whole bunch of fancy numbers into a forum that nobody understands or they can even prove? So again, generalized videos. Let's see if I can come up with just a little strategy or way that we can test this. And so me personally, with the Legion boss, I always like to reset my technology and do a Legion boss run with absolutely no technologies, just so that we have a basis of what we would get. And let's go to the Legion hunt here, and let's just give a fair shot. And I had another player request, don't arm the shield because of the critical possibilities that the shield gives to you during the runs. Again, the shield would be more for what? Damage. We never really intend on getting hit. So and I have a little bit of debate about the shield, and maybe I'll do another video. And I brought this topic up a long time ago, and a lot of players got really upset about it. And me personally, I don't think the shield does hardly anything. And that'll be another topic, no big deals. But I have no problems not arming the shield. We'll put the wing gun on for this test, and we'll do all the tests the exact same way here, guys. So let's just give this a whirl. Let's get a little base of where we're starting off at here. And again, if you guys are doing any of your tests, please feel free to send it to me anytime. Again, I totally have an open mind to all of this. Again, our main goals here is to do what? Just get a higher score. Help other players get a higher score. Open up the discussion on, have you thought about this before? Have you heard this before? Is there a way that we can prove this or disprove it? So yeah, feel free to always go out and try this yourself, guys. Again, I'm always open for suggestions and ideas. And again, if I can get a higher score, then please, by all means, let me know what you're doing versus anything else here. But here's a decent little basis with no technology. So 112.6 billion. And so let's do it like this now, guys. Let's go, and I am going to go to the technologies, and I am going to pause this for a second, not to bore you, trying to get these all to 75. So bear with me a second. Okay, guys, I was able to get all of my weapons to basically 75% out of 100, or 75 to 100 here. And I didn't want to bore you or hear 10 million taps to try to get to this. I wish Wingfighter would actually give a system to where there was like a scrolling bar or something to where we could get to that level faster without having to tap our fingers away here. But as you can see, I have nothing else on here to see what 75% on the weapons does, and will we get a buff? Do we get hurt by going over 75 in our other test coming up? But let's get a basis here. We have 2 chances to get a pretty good average of what 75 out of 100 will do here. I just always call it 75% out of 100. But let's do basically another Legion boss here. And again, I will not pick the armor. I had a player suggest do not do the armor because of the critical. And so again, I might bring up that topic again. You heard me say it earlier that I'm not a huge fan of the shield either, and the armor never really seems like it does what it's supposed to. But here we go. Let's get a good challenge, and yeah, we're trying to get a high score on this. I'm not holding back necessarily on this. Again, if you guys have any comments or suggestions or any ideas, please don't ever hesitate to leave a comment. And again, I'd love for anybody that's doing their own testing, you know, send me a link. I'd love to see it. So again, we will try to get a high score here that we can with this. And I should have changed over my gems. I do not have ground gems on right now. I just kind of jumped into this little test so I wouldn't forget about it. But right here, 162.1. And, you know, this also proves right here, guys, that your technology is incredibly important. I've seen other players saying, well, the technology is expensive, it's not that important, do your all fighters. And me personally, guys, your technology is extremely important, and right here proves it. So without technology, we're hitting 112.6 billion, and with 75% just on the weapons and not on anything else, 162.1 billion. I mean, that is a drastic difference here. And does the technology work? Yes, it does. So there is my first one. Let's do another one. And I always try to do 2s into something like this, especially just so that we get a little average. We have a tiny bit more of the testing on this just to get an average here. And so, again, I'll try not to hold back here that much here. Again, we're trying to get the highest score that we can, so I'm just playing this like I normally would, but putting it to the test. You see I'm buffing that armor to try to get my increase. for the new players, yeah, they say if you buff that little shield spinning around, that your weapon increases in value and power. In simple terms. Okay, so 165 billion, and the last one was 162. So pretty consistent there. But when you're talking about billion, that's a lot though. That is a lot. So 162.1 billion on the first one with 75% and 165.0 billion on the second, but that gives us a pretty good average here. I mean, it's not completely outrageously out of control here, one higher than the other. But again, when you're talking about billions, that is a lot though. So that gives us a pretty decent average here. Now the question of the day is, does 100% or 100 on your maxing out your equipment here, does it give it a buff? Does it hurt it? Will we get a decrease in the score, or will we get a higher score? And I would imagine you get a higher score. And again, I've talked to some of my bigger player friends here, and they couldn't wrap their head around it either. Why anybody would give that advice? You know, one, and I have said this in the past though, these technologies are extremely expensive once you start getting past 75. And the only thing that we could think of is, because they're so expensive, to maybe put it into something else into your technologies. Maybe not go over to 75 until you have everything else at 75. But we couldn't really, I couldn't wrap my brain around it. And I'm gonna be honest with you. There was a time I saw it so many times that I started not going past 75 without doing a test, and it started engraving into my brain, don't go over 75. And I never really could understand exactly if this was true or not. So I'm glad we're at least putting some type of test to this. And so this next one will be the 100%, and this one should be pretty easy, and I'll just do it right in front of you guys. So we'll do everything 100. And are we going to see an increase? Are we going to see it equal? Or are we going to see our score go under? So, and this is again, this is the test for me, is, do your weapons buff after 75% or 75 out of 100? And again, I've seen this so many times in the forums. And can we get some verification to what is this all about? Why are players saying this? Why is this in the forums all the time when you bring up technology? So can we put an end to the myth, or are they right? And we have two chances of doing this also, to get a little average here of, is this correct, or is this bad advice again? So we'll do this pretty much the same way here, guys. At least as close as we can here. Can we beat the last score? Is it going to go under? And right here, guys, right here, 180.3. So should you go past the 75 percent or 75 out of 100 mark? Yes. But let's do it again. I got one more. I had a little feeling that that is pretty silly advice, but let's do it one more time here, just to see if we can get a little average here. But that's a substantial increase, with no questions asked. So should you be going over 75%? If you've got the coins and the stars, absolutely. Don't hold back. Yep, pretty silly, actually. And I can't believe that I haven't tried this little test prior to all of this. And I had seen it so many times in the forums, and I started convincing myself too, guys. So don't feel bad here. But is this a myth? Can we put this to rest? And if you see somebody else saying that, just kind of chuckle a little bit and know that you should not just stay at 75%. And right here, guys, 182.1, pretty on it. You know, nothing too outrageous between the two tests here, and I think I would rather have the 182.1 versus the 164, and that's just me. I don't know about you guys. So if you're seeing a player tell you don't go over 75% or 75 out of 100, that's just horrible advice. It's horrible advice, guys. Again, there's just so much bad advice. There's so many players in there that will say that they are right, but where's your video? Where is your proof to saying that this is true? And again, I don't get wrapped up into the whole forum thing. I don't get wrapped up into the whole numbers thing. I would rather just be able to see, can we see a difference? Because again, with the numbers, you can be a numbers a player all you want. But again, you heard what I said in the beginning. You can do these tests, or you can play this 100 different times, and you're probably going to get 100 different scores. And where's the numbers in that exactly? So I just never really understood the whole numbers game, and guys trying to be fancy, or players trying to be fancy about their numbers, when this changes all the time. They're recoding the game all the time. We have new updates all the time, and things do get buffed and things do change. So I would rather just go out and do a test myself and be able to put it on video and be able to prove, well, here's what it shows. I don't really care what you're saying, but this is what it's showing. And so right here, I think we can put the whole entire myth, and we're going to call it a myth now, that you should not go over 75% on your technology. And again, guys, don't hesitate to try these yourself. Go out and test the game and push yourself and push others to get higher scores. And you know, I say this in just about all my videos. I'll close it out this way. Guys, just have fun.